And to quote our OG host, who would often just say, by what standard, whenever a movie is making a strong moral claim that other worldviews can't really support. It's like, by what standard is this funny? It's like, it's because we have tapped into the patterns of the world, the way life goes. And so comedy in its own way often points to the standards of good and evil. Even comedies that are about people doing terrible things. Oftentimes, if I'm engaging this from a Christian perspective, what these movies are supporting actually is how much we don't want to transgress those standards, and how much we all really believe. The only reason this is funny is because we all really believe that something is evil. So take, for example, like I know I've said a lot of these are my favorite jokes, but my favorite thing in this movie is when Ludwig is holding Jane hostage, showing his total disregard for innocent life. Frank goes, "Two can play at that game." And he grabs an innocent bystander and holds her hostage. It's wonderful. It's wonderful because because everybody knows that's funny immediately without going through the steps about why it's so funny. But the truth is, why is that so funny? It's because we recognize a key difference between good guys and bad guys is that the bad guys don't care about innocent life, right? And that they play by different rules. But instead, he pulls a hostage. You know, that the bad guys, they don't care about hurting innocents. Good guys, they care about hurting innocents. Two can play at this game. I can top you. He's butchering the national anthem, and the cops are running out on the field. But they have so much respect for the national anthem that he shouldn't be singing, that they're like putting their hand across their chest and like slowly inching across the field. And it's so funny because everybody's felt the tension while in a moment like that where you're like, okay, do I stand in this or do I deal with, whatever, something that spilled over? And it's just a good way of highlighting, again, the patterns of the world which exist, that we live in for good or for ill, or whether they're transcendent or not. And it's just wonderful the way these movies just give us a look at it's almost like the Matrix, like pulling back and seeing the code underneath the lie, the world that we live. And then in a similar way, one of the patterns of these movies that I love is that absurdist comedy will also highlight people wildly taking others out of context. So the classic one is Airplane, "Surely you can't be serious." "I am serious, and don't call me Shirley."
Call me Shirley. Yeah.
And that reminds me of the book of Proverbs. There's this proverb that says, Proverbs 23:9 says, "Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your words." And violating that or highlighting the way that fools do this it's a joke that's repeated hundreds of times in all of these movies. Now, to be fair to the book of Proverbs, the context is more about somebody kind of like your talking head political hosts who are waiting to clip you out of context and show what an evil person you are to the other side, that kind of thing. But comedically, these movies support this point that don't speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your words. It's just great the way they poke fun at these things. And you already kind of highlighted this, like euphemisms. There's a nurse talking to Mrs. Nordberg, and she says, "Mrs. Nordberg, I think we can save your husband's arms. Where would you like it sent?"
Yes, it reminds me. So that reminds me of a scene in the show as they catch the killer. One of the other quirks about the show, which was hilarious, is the title of the show was "Who Did It." So it literally was the episode title of an episode show would be like "The Butler Did It," and so it's always
really?
like it's like if you didn't know how the mystery was solved, just closed your eyes during the title of it. So it's a little quirk of the show.
Yeah, that's great.
But one of the scenes at the end of the show, they catch the woman that was the murderer in that episode, and they go, "All right, boys, run her in," and which is like it's a nonsense. It's not a nonsense statement, but everyone knows what that means, right?
Yeah.
Run her in. It's a police movie. So they would put her in the car and drive away, right? No, they have them line up on the line, and a guy takes a starting pistol and shoots it, and they literally run off into the distance with it. And it's those types of euphemisms where it's like the literal meaning of the word is where the humor really lies.
Like
a lot of
Arrested
times.
Development in the hospital.
Yes,
I'm sorry, we lost him. And
yes,
we can't find him. He left, all that. The literal doctor. There's a compilation of that on YouTube. It's so good.
We hope you enjoyed this snack-sized taste of popcorn theology. Check out the full episode using the link in the description. Subscribe on YouTube for more content. Follow and interact on social media to share with others. And remember, you are not a mindless consumer.